So like when you guys like really take like a really good look at these cards and like you guys are thinking about like what these cards would grade at is like one of the things um because like I don't personally really know that much. I did some research to like figure out like what are the criteria when it comes to grading and pretty much like if you guys open a box, the cards inside the box actually might come out of the pack, like fresh, like pack fresh, might actually end up being damaged. Like even though it's like fresh out of the box, and they all might be damaged in like a similar place. Um, like one of the things about the cards is that like the back of the Yu-Gi-Oh card is like really soft compared to like the front because like the front has like this foil if it's like a ultra rare or like a super rare. So then like there's more ink, um, and like this ink is like hard, not ink, but like there's this foil on the front of the card, and the foil is like the layer that the ink is printed on. The type of ink that they use to print this, it's like a different kind of ink. It's not like inkjet or like laser. They use like heat, but like it's a different type of printing like method. But anyways, like the ink is printed on top of this foil material on this layer on the front of the card. So like the front of the card is like sort of like a harder material. So because of that, like there won't be as much um like indents from like pressure from like a little bit of pressure, like tiny little bits of pressure, like can like cause like little tiny dents in the back of the card, unfortunately. Because like the back of the card doesn't have a foil, so like the back is a lot softer. So like it's kind of hard to tell if it's like damaged. Like for example, this card actually has like this scratch. I don't know if you guys can see that. You can see right there. This card actually has like this tiny little scratch, um, just like that, right over here. Um, so like that's like a scratch. So like that would be like an issue if this card was sent in for grading. Um, and that's like cards that come out straight out of the pack fresh. So like if you open the box, like there's a chance that the cards in that box, because of the way the box was handled, doesn't necessarily mean that all the cards in that box will get a 10. Actually, there's a chance that like some of the cards that come straight out of the box, out of the pack fresh, might even end up being like a 7. I know, a 7. And so like just off of that alone, if you guys pretty much get any other card that comes out if you guys get any other card that doesn't come out straight from the pack, like if you guys, unless you know like, oh yeah, this card, I bought this card from like a person who put it straight into a top loader right after they opened the pack, then maybe that's like the same thing. But like any other card, like lightly played at all, like any type of card um, that was, for example, put into like a binder, uh, any other card would actually end up being probably under a 6. So like even if you have a card, and it's really hard to tell, like um, because like some cards look so clean, like just visually, like when you guys look at the card itself, like it's really hard to see like any type of um, it's like it's almost impossible to see like if there's actually any type of like issue But like for example with this one, there's like a tiny little like, I don't know if that's dirt, but like there's a little scratch like right over here. Um, so like that's just the surface, right? So like the back of the card a lot of times had like, and it's kind of hard to tell if it's like indents or if it's just like a texture of the back of the card. So it's like you guys have to like sort of see like if it's like if there's like indents or like places where it was pushed in, or if like it's kind of just like the texture of the card itself. Um, but like besides that, like another big thing is like the edges here. Like as in like if when you guys like put this into like for example like a card sleeve, um, like if you guys put it into a card sleeve, well I mean it's not as bad. Like if you guys put it in like a certain way, the card sleeves, you know, or like you put it into like a binder. Um, but like you guys will have to think like, oh, you know, there's like more opportunity for this card, for the edges of this card to sort of like receive damage. Like the more times you put it into a sleeve, you take it out of the sleeve, you guys put it into the binder, and the binder gets moved around, or like the cards in the deck gets moved around. If it's just in a card sleeve alone, lightly played, you know, like for example, when you guys take it out like so, you guys are pressing on this side here. So like literally any card, and it's hard to see. Like you guys, like it's not gonna happen immediately, and like if you guys do this just like one or two times, it won't matter as much. But as these cards get used, like as you play with these cards, it does become lightly played. And like if it does get lightly played, a lot of these cards are gonna actually end up being like less than a 6. And like some of these cards look so clean, even though it's been lightly played, um, that you might expect like a higher score. But you guys might end up being really surprised, like seeing like some of these cards that are like really clean. Like these are like really clean cards, but like the thing is they've been played with like very slightly, and after that point most of the time none of those are actually going to be able to get like higher than a 6, maybe a 7, because there's going to be like tiny little like scratches, tiny little play indents, tiny little like places on the edges of the card where it's been like pressed in or like scratched, or like the paper of the edges have been lifted off of like the card itself. So like there's gonna be a bunch of those that you guys have to like sort of like look out for. Like for example, right over here, like I just put it into the sleeve, and then there's already like this tiny little. I don't know if you guys can see that, but like it's already sort of like, you see that right here. It's already slightly whitened here on this edge, just like having been put into just the sleeve even once. So if any of the cards pretty much go through any of those things, then at that point it becomes lightly played, and like the chances of it being able to get higher than a 7 is really low. So like the only real way to like get a card that is gonna be able to get higher than a 7 is a card that you and then like the chance, and then also like because of the chance of it being damaged in the box itself, even though you pulled it straight out of the box, there's also a chance it could even get less than a 7. But all those things besides that, those things like finally really is gonna be like the centering, and like that's a really important part about it, is the centering, um, as well as the corner. So like it's like really tough to see it, like when you guys look at photos, like you have to sort of see it with your own eyes to really be able to tell like if the centering is there or not, because like a lot of times like if you guys turn it to a certain angle, it looks kind of centered, but it's just because it's like at an angle. So like it looks more centered than it actually is. If you guys look at it straight on, like you guys will be able to tell like the centering is actually off. And like the centering on the sides of it, and as well as the top and the bottom of these cards, like you'll be able to visually tell just based off of the card itself, like whether or not like the centering is there or not. Like you sometimes you don't even need a centering tool to be able to see that, oh, in fact, this card is actually not centered on the sides, or like on the top and the bottom aren't centered either. Like you guys have to be like able to see like how off it is. Like, and then you'd be like, this side is like 70-30, or like 60-40, or 55-45, you know, and as well as top and bottom. But like not only is the front of this card centering important, but like actually one of the biggest things is like the back of the card. Like the back of the card, the centering a lot of times isn't really there. So it's like it's almost impossible to get a 10 actually, because like the top and the bottom and the sides of both sides of the front and the back have to be centered to like a certain degree that like it's centered perfectly on the front and the back, the front and the back of the card. So like it's not just the front of the card that you need to see to figure out like which of these cards you want to send to grading, and like which of these cards are likely to get a 10. If these aren't fresh out of the pack, the chances of it getting a 10 is like super low, because because if it's been lightly played at all, then the chances of it being anything more than a 7, even if the centering's there, is very low, because like there's going to be tiny little damage like surface problems, edges, like scratches. But then like finally, not only is the centering important, but there's also these corners. Like the corners are also actually important, because like these cards sometimes they don't get cut like on the corners perfectly, and there's like you'll be able to see it when you see like certain cards, like this the corners, for example, like the corners sometimes they're not cut like perfectly in a radius, like they have sharper corners than others. I don't know if you guys can tell, like if you guys like you guys have to like look really carefully to be able to see like, yeah, to see like, oh, some of these corners are actually not as centered, as not like a perfect radius compared to like the other cards. Um, so like for example, these are just some of the cards I'm thinking about sending in for the next batch. I already sent in a few, but like I'm just gonna like do a quick video about like what I think they're gonna be graded at, and then like we can see like later like what the actual grade is, to see like how close it got to being like, you know, and I could be really off, because I might grade it like, I might be like, this is gonna be graded higher than it actually is, because grading actually might be a lot more difficult. In my opinion, this card might be able to get a 9. But the thing is, like the centering on the back is really off. And like I'm not gonna take this card out of the top loader, but so like I'm not gonna be able to like look really closely to see if there's like little micro scratches or like whatever. Like this is gonna be the condition that came out of the pack in. And like it came out straight out of the box, straight out of the pack, straight into the penny sleeve, straight into the top loader. Like that's what I did to it, you know, and then like I'll take it out of like the top loader, you know, like you guys, I don't want to like, there's not a lot of space here, so I can't really like do this, but so like I'll have to like take it out of the top loader like so, and put it into the card saver, right? Um, But I want to say that this card, I don't want to put into this top saver just yet because I have another card coming in that I want to like take a look at before I send it in. But so like based off of like these corners and like the centering on the front, but like the back is like really off-centered, but it's really only the top and the bottom. So I want to say like this card could potentially get a 9, but like it might get an 8, like based off of how bad like the centering is on the back. If it does get an 8, you know, I'll have to like do some math to see like how much it's worth as an 8. This card, I want to say that it's gonna be able to get maybe like an 8 or a 9. You know, and the back is also really off, so like maybe an 8. But like if the centering is off and really off, like if it's like if the card itself has really bad centering, it could even get a 7, just because the centering is like so off. I want to say like for this card, Magic Cylinder, I want to say like this can get a 9 potentially because the front centering is actually really good. It's just the back isn't as good for the centering. For this card, Bond Between Teacher and Student, I would say the front is like pretty well centered except for the top and the bottom, and the back is pretty centered. So I want to say this can potentially get a 9, but it might get an 8. And for this card, like the Skull Servant, the front is actually really centered, and like the corner, you have to also look at the corners of the card. But like the back isn't as centered, so I want to say like this could potentially get a 9. And like I just got this card in, and like in the picture, it looked really centered. Like in the picture when I saw it, because I actually didn't pull this card. I know, like I said, like I wouldn't like do that, but like I'm not gonna resell this single. Like I wouldn't. I'm not planning to like resell this. I don't know what's up with this top loader. Something really off about this top loader. It's kind of like really tight. I don't know if it's been pressed. I mean, this is Ultra Pro top loader. I don't know. Oh yeah, see, that's a lot better. But it's so I'm gonna take a quick look at this card in particular. I just got this card in, and like I'll just tell you guys right now that this card is not gonna get a 10. Although like you think that like when you see it, it's really hard to see like in the picture, and like I'm not gonna be able to show you guys, but like the sides are actually not centered. The top and bottom are centered, but the sides aren't centered. Although it does look pretty clean. I'm gonna have to keep it in the top loader a little longer because it kind of has like this bend to it. I don't know if you guys can see, like there's a bend to it, so like this card's gonna have to be put into the top loader and like pressed so it straightens out. But I would say like this card potentially could get an 8. So like I would say like most of these cards, if not all of these cards, are more like 8 or 9s. But I could be wrong. They could grade lower. They could even grade higher. Like one of these might be a 10, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm gonna have to send it in to find out for sure. but I just wanted to share with you guys real quick this batch and just like the grading that I'm thinking that these cards could potentially get. That's pretty much it for the video. If you guys have any other questions, you guys can feel free to reach out to me. This is like a sealed DVD. As you can see, like the seal here has been like, I don't know if there was a sticker here. If there's a sticker, I heard it's just better to keep it on the DVD rather than try to take it off. There's like a bunch of little scratches here. There's like, it's peeling here. There's a bunch of like it, but the thing is like with these, like you might want to just like have it sent in for grading. If you guys are into that, into grading steel product. It costs a lot more to like grade like things like this, but as long as it's like genuine and it's not resealed, then that's better than nothing. But you won't be able to get as good of a grade, unfortunately. So if you guys have any questions, you guys can feel free to reach out to me. It's gonna be like this huge waiting game to wait for grading to come back, like to get these grades back from Beckett. So I'm probably not gonna be able to get these grades back till September. I might like send out another batch before then, like this after this batch. Like I might send this batch out maybe in like a few weeks, and then like I might send another batch out in a month. But we'll have to see, like a month or two, and then I should be able to get these back before the end of the year. But we'll have to see. I'm not really sure like how well these are gonna sell. If they grade as 8, hopefully there might be like a 10 in there somewhere, or a few 9s. But we'll just have to go with it. I know Beckett doesn't sell as well as PSA. Fortunately, a lot of these cards aren't worth sending to PSA, so I'm not gonna send these to PSA. If you guys have any questions, guys can feel free to reach out to me.